because I was like, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay in my bathroom because this is it for me. Government funded personal assistant for the child, and that wasn't it. Don't be shy.
Hello viewers, welcome back to Simply Mom's channel. Today we have a visitor. She's called Veronica. She's a mom, she's an entrepreneur, she's a wife, she's a woman of God. She's going to introduce herself. Veronica.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. Yes, so my name is Veronica Modukwe Yusuf, for those of you who might be from Africa. So I am a mom of three. I've got in fact, three of them are teenagers now, a 17-year-old, a 15 and a 13-year-old. And I'm an entrepreneur. Yes, I am a tech founder, and also I run a CIC as well in the UK. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Tell us about your journey.
Where do I even start? Okay, my journey, maybe I'll talk about the journey into tech.
Yeah.
So I think it's about 20 years ago, by October of this year, I came into the UK as an immigrant from Nigeria for a master's in strategic human resource management. And then I met my husband, started a family. And things changed slightly because then I fell pregnant immediately. And so I had to defer my dissertation by a few months anyway. But eventually we got there in the end, and I graduated. And my plan was after maternity to get a job within the HR space. But that was very challenging because coming from Nigeria at the time, I didn't have a UK-based experience, which was a requirement.
Yeah, that's
always. Exactly. So it was a struggle. And so I started talking to people, and people were advising that I do different things just to get the experience. I started listening to people reading my children's school just to get some volunteering, experience. I did NVQ3 as a teaching assistant to also get that. I explored everything. I did customer service. I worked a week in a factory, by the way.
Wow.
That I couldn't survive. So that was hard. But cutting the long story short, that took a good number of years. But then just from networking, talking to people, asking, how do we even navigate this corporate environments in the UK, and someone said maybe HR is hard because you don't have the UK-based experience, and it is one area that might not be that easy for you to transition into. And the person said, have you considered getting into tech?
Yeah.
I said, no, I haven't, because I don't think I can. I'm not technical. That's what I said. Because I said, my husband's got a technical background, but it's just not me. I don't know how to write code and all of that. She says, no, tech is beyond that. And then after a lot of, hesitation, eventually I said, let me have a look. And I started doing some research and found out that tech was quite broad. And a lot of the things that I learned from business school doing my master's, I could actually transfer into business analysis. And that's how I explored IT business analysis, and eventually did some certifications, did some projects, gained experience. I started applying for jobs, and I got my first IT business analyst job with a university here in the UK. And the rest, as they say, is history. That's how I got into tech.
Wow. And were you studying as well as being a mom at the same time, of course?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
So that was not easy at all. Combining being a young mom at the time, I was first time mom, and it was very difficult, because then I had to study, of course, because as you're upskilling, you have to make time to develop the relevant skills. And a lot of times I would, spend time with my baby during the day, and most times I had to sacrifice sleep. Because like I say to people, something has got to give.
Indeed.
Okay, so at the time that you're doing that, you've got to work out what works for you. What is your own peculiar situation, as it were. So I would normally wait until my daughter is in bed. Then I sit down in front of a computer and I start studying for an exam. I did quite a lot of exam certifications. There's a story I like to tell. when I was seven months pregnant, I had registered for Prince 2 certification, so one of the project management. Yeah, and I said, goodness, I am so heavy. Can I do this? And my husband was like, oh, you can defer. I said, no, I'm going to do it. And my belly was that big. So I said, in the cold, it was winter. I will never forget going all the way to York. At that time, I wasn't even driving. So I took the train by myself because my husband couldn't drop me up. He had to go to work. So just thinking about that, I turned up for the exam. They saw me and they thought I was lost. A pregnant woman who was wandering around and lost. And it's like, can we help you? Are you looking for something? I said, is this the exam from Prince 2? They say, yeah. I said, that's what I'm here. And everybody laughed. And they invited me to sit down and they were like, wow, well done, you. You look like you're about to pop. I said, not quite there. But it's funny that I sat down and I did the exam, and then the option to get your results immediately was made available. Some people said, oh no, post it to me. I said, I've come all the way. I need to know where I go.
Yes.
I got 98% of 100.
Well done.
7 months pregnant and all of that. So the moral of the story is it's possible. You have just got to, there will be sacrifices. You've got to just work out what works for you. So my case was daytime, I'm with my baby. Nighttime, she's gone to sleep. Nighttime was when I was
doing anything on with it. Yeah, that I can relate to that. So when I was also pregnant, I did my NVQ level 6, and it was really quite hard. But when you're determined and you're like, I don't want to pop the baby before I finish this,
so let me get on with it.
It puts you on more pressure to just get it done.
Yes.
Wow. So what has been the biggest challenges?
Biggest challenges, it's just that, every day is different, isn't it? So I think for me, I'm just trying to think of one big challenge. So for me, I'm quite driven, and I like to push myself, so maybe I talk about the story of my son's got special needs, and there was a time that I had to stop working for a good few years after we had him. So we've had first 2 kids, perfectly normal, no issues, and then the third and the last one, very difficult pregnancy. I couldn't even go full term, had to have the baby early. I was in hospital for 3 months. Yeah, before they said, right, okay, elective CS is the way to go, to save you and the child. So that was a big thing for me because it meant all the aspirations and everything I wanted to do, being the kind of person, I had to put that on hold. And it was a time that I almost went into depression, to be honest, because I felt like, is this it? Why do I deserve this? Why should this happen? Those sort of questions that we like to ask ourselves. I've been a woman of faith. I said to God, why? What is this? What have I done? And I blamed myself. My husband also was like, wow, what have you done to deserve it? So that was the most challenging period in our lives. But eventually we learned a lot from it. Yeah, going through the whole process, it drew us closer as a family. But then it just made me feel like, okay, yeah, that is the season. But that's not the end of the world. That's not the end of it. So I had to pick myself up. So I would say in terms of the most challenging, was that period where, my son couldn't walk until he was 3.5. And we couldn't do a lot of things as a family because he needed a tracheostomy tube to breathe. So going around, even my husband couldn't work as much because we were in and out of hospitals. And that had a massive impact on us as a family. So I would say that's been the most challenging. But I say in terms of balancing that, I just had to pray about it, and I was like, okay, God, I'm sure this is not the end. I'm sure there's more. How do I pick myself up to get back on the career ladder and all of that? It took a while, but it was more a case of working on myself, my mindset, and just saying, okay, you've got to get out of this depressed feeling, and see what you can do to get back up again. So it took a while, but eventually, God helping, I was able to pick myself up and I started studying again.
Did you get help? Like,
The help we got was, it was just we're a very close-knit family. So it was just my husband, and I'm thankful that I have someone that's that supportive. So yeah, he has his moments, you know. He has his moments, but he will say you got to get up. You can't stay like this. Because I was like, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay in my bathroom because this is it for me. I can't see anywhere, you know. He goes to work, and I'm like, look at you. You can get up and go to work, but I'm here, and all of that. So it was very challenging, but it took time. I had to work on myself. And then he also saw that, okay, I need to support this guy. So I think the support was really my husband and my family. So my mom is here. My whole family is in the UK. So my sister, so they would come around and chip in as best as you could. Everybody, my pastor, you know, to help with my son as well, to kind of ease things up a little. But eventually, I would say over and above, it was just for me to come to the point where I was like, this is not the end. Which is what I like to say to people, you know, regardless of the challenges, there's always a way out, and it's not the end. It's just embracing it. So you can't pretend that it doesn't exist. It's there.
denial.
You can't deny. You can't be in denial. I couldn't deny that this was happening.
Yeah.
But how do I navigate? How do I get out of it? You know, stuff like that. So I had to. It took time, but eventually I got back up on my feet again, and I started building. Back onto work, into work. Later, a few years, started my business. So that's so I would say that was the most challenging season in my life.
Margin. So for what, if you're a mom out there and you're going through that same period, just know it's a season.
It's a season.
And it will end.
It will pass.
So, and having a community support system. You mentioned about the church as well.
Yes.
The church was
So it's really good to don't be by yourself. Yeah. Don't try to sort it out. No man is an island. Reach out for help. I couldn't just pretend that those things weren't there. You know, I would call my mom and sometimes cry on the phone to say, I don't know what to do, because it was quite challenging, and she'll pray with me and she will say, okay, I'll come and stay with you, you know, so having that, it's good to have that support, and allowing your family to help you, you know, once if you have them around. Or I'll take advantage of whatever. It could just be church, it could be friends around. Don't do it alone. Definitely not.
That's very touching. Oh, bless you. Yeah. Wow. So how is the child now? Is he okay?
Yes, he's 13. I wouldn't say, because he had really complex needs. So he's visually impaired. He started walking at 3.5. Yeah, he's walking now. He doesn't need a tracheostomy tube because that's now taken. It's been taken out, and he breathes normally for himself. So he has made very good progress. There's still more we're trusting God for, and we're looking, you know, forward to seeing. Like, he's nonverbal, he doesn't talk. So there's quite a boy. He's in a special school that is brilliant, by the way, and that's for us is a plus, you know. So he's making progress, even though slow, but looking back at where we were a few years ago, we can say that he has made some good progress, so we're thankful for that.
Brilliant. I guess that's the good thing about the UK. We've got those special school. So if there is a mom out there who's got a child who has different special needs, don't feel like you can't reach out. Don't be in denial. It's okay, and there is help out there. Just reach out. You can contact us, you know, in the comments. We can always
Signpost you.
We can signpost you, give you ideas on where to go. So don't feel like you're just there by yourself. It's okay. And you've also mentioned about the tools, about having a community. What other tools would you give? Having a community, having maybe your family. And so if someone is here in the UK, they don't have a family.
So there's your community. There is your local. So I would say, go online. If you can, go online and just research and Google, and say, maybe help for special needs kids within the area that you are. And you will see there's a lot. That's the brilliant thing about being here in the UK.
Yeah.
You would go to gov.uk, and they would have different parts of the UK, different councils, different links to various resources that can help you. So I was always online researching, trying to find out what is the meaning of this condition. What are we to expect in a few years? How can we manage when he doesn't want to eat what others are eating because he's very restricted in his diet? There's all of that, but I was always online. I was always, don't sit down by yourself. Don't stay in your head. Get out of your head.
Yeah.
Get out of your head,
Yeah,
and talk to people. Yeah. And I think one thing that is beautiful about being in the West is that the stigma that you would probably get if you were back in Africa, all over developing countries, is not existent. It's not here.
Yeah.
And so don't feel like, I have to hide it. I have to keep it because people are going to look at me funny and all of that. No,
Exactly.
it's quite open. That's a brilliant thing about this environment. Talk about it. Ask. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy.
And it's not the devil.
It's not an evil spirit.
It's not the
demon.
It's not a demon. It's not. There is help.
There is help.
Yeah, you can go. The doctors will, sort it out. They give you help, medication.
Yeah, don't lock the child up and be praying.
Yes, so don't do that. It's not 24-hour prayers without medication and stuff. You can pray, yes,
Definitely.
but there is also medical help. We encourage you to look for that as well.
Yes.
What has your experience been like navigating the world of tech as a working mom?
Okay, that's one I like to talk about. So again, it's about getting into tech took some time.
Yeah.
And then, but one thing again about the tech space or tech jobs is the flexibility you get. I was saying to you before we started that are you working from home? And so that's the thing. I meet a lot of moms who are saying, what job can I do that would give me the flexibility? My kids are young and all of that. So that was really helpful for us because with tech, especially now, you can have a fully remote job.
Yeah.
Or you could have a hybrid. So that helped in the sense that we had some days where I would be working from home. So it was easy for me to do like the school runs, drop off, pick up and all of that. So I would say that helped, to balance things. Well, I think over and above is really working out what you look at your own situation and just trying to see what would work. But I would say I think it's just that flexibility that it gives you. And therefore you can balance things. You can say, right, okay, depending on the sort of contract you have, you can decide that maybe you drop kids off in the morning and then you get onto your PC or whatnot to work. Although I must say that it hasn't always been that way. So when I first started, I was going into London. I worked in London for 5 years. And I had to go in the first 6 months, I had to go in Monday to Friday. Wow. So again, it's having a support system. At that time, because it was after COVID that, organizations were talking about this remote working and all of that. But then everybody was going in. So what helped me was I had friends in church. I made friends from church and around my community. And someone is my mom. Because my husband was working away. So I would say, right, okay, I need pickup. Who do I talk to? So you've got to reach out and build that network of people you can trust, people you can call up. So I might be on the train, my train is running late and I'm texting one of my friends to say, hey, you've got to do school runs for me today.
Yeah.
I will make it. So that again is also very important that you leverage a support system that works for you. So at the beginning, that really helped. And then, of course, there is your breakfast club, after school clubs that you get. When I had to drive into Nottingham, then from Early morning, I drop the kids off breakfast club, and then off I go. And then on my way, I pick them up and all of that. So it's just what works. And again, it depends on the different seasons. There was a season when that happened, and then the season where we currently are, there is a hybrid way of working or the remote way of working. So it's just really peculiar to you just know what works for you and how you can balance things. But support system, very important. If you have a family that's close, let them know. Don't try to do everything by yourself so that you don't break down. And look for jobs that would allow that flexibility. And there is loads of those jobs in the tech space.
Yeah.
And that has helped me.
Yes. So if you want a job in the tech space, you know the person. You can reach out to us and then I can signpost you. She has a company, like we mentioned, Sterling Tech. And like we said, this is Simply Moms. We're here to empower women, empower mothers, to make sure that we have a better quality of life for us and our children and families. So how do you make time for yourself?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, while you're balancing, child, motherhood, business, how do you make time for self?
So self-care is very important. And I think the first time I said to myself, and I think a lot of moms, we have to give ourselves a break, you can't do everything. My husband used to call me, oh, you're my bull. And I said, I want to stop being your bull. I don't want to do everything. I had to come to myself and I said, you know what? I'm going to start having solo trips. And so for the first time, I I was bold enough to do it.
Okay.
We had been married for 10 years. So I honestly struggled with the thought of traveling by myself without my kids or my husband.
Yeah.
I felt like I'll be, kind of selfish. But it's okay, But thankfully, after a lot of ups and downs, my husband was like, I said, I'm going. So I went to Barcelona by myself for 5 days. No children. So I try to do that more. And I've had a few. My kids are like, oh, mommy, another solo trip. And I'm like, I worked hard for it. And then I want to be there for longer because I have to look after myself.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I pause and I'm like, okay, is it a spa with a friend? Can I go abroad? I went to Africa for 2 weeks the other day. I just said, Mom, I'm buying a ticket. And I think, again, being financially stable also helps. And it is from the sort of job that you do, and tech does that for you. Okay, and so I take time. If I can do a solo trip, I'll do a solo trip. Or maybe it's to go and do my nails and just do that. Or sit at home and do nothing. The do nothing, approach works. So most times Fridays, I say it's my do nothing day. And the kids are like, Mommy, I'm like, no, I'm sitting as a pro. And I'm just binging on Netflix, thinking about nothing. And I fall asleep, have something to read. So you've got to be intentional about making time for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be depressed. You don't want to burn out.
Yeah, and as a mother, if you burn out, the whole family suffers.
So I had an episode because I had been working, juggling my business, my CIC, my job at the time. And I've been, how you read about things and you're like, oh, that won't happen to me.
Yeah. And then it
did. Not too long ago, I was like, is this what they're talking about? I just didn't want to get out of bed. I was just exhausted, mentally, physically, everything. I just didn't want to get out. My husband was like, you okay? I'm like, no, no. And I sit down, I get emotional, and I'm crying for no reason. I had to go and see my GP. He says, that's burnout.
Yeah.
You're burnt out. Quickly, he wrote, first initial 2 weeks off work. He says, shut that laptop. Don't do anything.
Yeah.
So don't get to that. That's what I would say to moms. Just make sure that you don't. And how you can do that is in everything that you're doing, try to incorporate
self-care. Even if it's just walking in the morning by yourself.
So,
just...
Yeah, pamper yourself sometimes. Go to a salon or even if you don't want to go to a salon, do it at home. Sit down and do a pedicure, manicure at home. And just do nothing. Leave everything else because you need that.
Yeah.
So that for mentally, you need that physically and in every sense. so that you can be around for longer, even for the kids and the family
Yeah.
that you're running all around for. So I do make time for self-care. That's
Brilliant. How has been being a mom to a child with some difficulties influence your approach on both parenting and running your business?
good question. So yes, a mom of a child with special needs. We had the child and we didn't even see that coming. But eventually it happened. So first of all, we came to terms with it. That's it. He's got those needs, and how do we learn to make sure that we give him the support that he needs? But then again, how do we also balance other things that we're doing, because we don't want our lives to stop because we have a special needs son. And I think being in this environment really helps with that. So because there's all the support. And for us, then we had a PA, which was government funded.
Okay.
That really helped when I had to go to work. When we got home back with him, and I said, okay, I was able to get out of that depressive state to get myself back. But then I spoke to a specialist around, did some research, and they said, oh, you're actually entitled to a PA.
Okay.
So that's something for anybody who's out there and thinking you can have a government funded personal assistant for the child.
All right.
And that was a lifesaver, because in the mornings she would come in and be with my son and even my other girl. So we paid her additional so that she could look after the other two.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have to rush to drop them off in breakfast school. Once we got that, so I'm like, oh, I'm off to work now. So Rebecca, please can you? And she was driving. So that really helped at the time. So she would look after him, drop the kids off, and then he would, so he had access to nursery for special kids, a lot of that. So I think that kind of helped. That way I was still able to work or return to work. I wasn't doing my business at the time. I was just full-time working. So I'll say that helped. But then I think after a few years, we now left. We moved down to the Warwickshire area. At that time was when I started my business. And so juggling everything again, it was difficult because we didn't have access to the sort of support that we had there.
Okay.
And we still don't.
Because it's different. Is it different boroughs or different? Yeah. So they give different help, isn't it?
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, so that changed. And so we had to find a way to work as a family. Now the kids are older, so my girls are brilliant. They also help because we brought them up like that. So they're not afraid or ashamed of their brother. They support, they look at him like they're his mom. That's okay. So we've been able to build that within the family. So I guess with everybody else, you've just got to find out what works for you. What do you have access to? And then how do you make it work for you? So when we were before, the previous season where we had access to that, but then this other place we didn't. So we had to say, how can we make it work so that we're still able to do the things that we want to do? So it's just being able to look at that and say, okay, what do I have access to that I can leverage? For us, it was a close-knit family. Occasional mom would come and all of that. And then between my husband and I had to stop. So I used to contract because in tech, those of you who know about contract, it was good money because both of us were grossing 6 figures and over. Yeah, but we can do all the holidays and travel and all of that. But at that point, we had to make that decision to say, okay, one person should maybe get a permanent and a different type of contract, because both of us, so my husband was doing the contract and then I resigned. So you see, those are the kind of things, changes that you would have to make to accommodate your own situation.
Yeah.
And so I left my contracting and I got a permanent job, which was still very, good, rewarding as well.
Still remote.
So yes, we're hybrid at least then. So I guess that's kind of what really helped. So we're still able to make the hospital appointments, but then at this time it had reduced. Again, it's to let you know that everything is a season, So there was a season where we're every other day in hospital, but it passed. And then now we're not in and out of hospital. And so it gives us more time to do other things, really. It's just being able to embrace the season that you are in, leverage what you have access to, and make it work for you. In summary, that's it.
Wow. That's a lot of nuggets right there. So if you're in the same situation, honestly, I would go into tech.
Yes, exactly. It gives you everything.
I don't work into tech myself, but that sounds very attractive.
Definitely.
And I think the fact that you can work from home, look after your child at the same time, I think that's brilliant for lots of moms. There are many moms at home who are not working, and they're,
Thinking that.
yeah, they think I don't want to leave my child, blah, blah, blah. But yet, it's all about knowledge and information. If you don't know, they say we perish for lack of knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's very brilliant information right there. Has there been any surprises or things you've learned about yourself along the way?
Surprises. I think there's been several, but maybe one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Recently is the fact that I could get to a point where I just said no to a 6-figure job.
Okay.
Because I put my mental health first. Yeah. So I didn't think I would find myself in that position. So I was talking about being burnt out not too long ago. It was the job. So again, in as much as I'm saying that tech is rewarding and has the flexibility, you also have to know the one that is right for you. And you also have to know when to shut the door.
Yeah.
And things like that. So it was a huge surprise that I would actually experience burnout. You know how you hear about it, but it was a combination of what was going on at work. So this job, I was sat down doing my business, and this company came and headhunted me.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for it, but they were like, "Oh, we've looked at your profile on LinkedIn. Be on LinkedIn, by the way, if you want to get big jobs." And they chased me for a month, almost 2 months, and said, we want you and stuff like that. And my husband, I was like, no, I'm fixing my business. My husband said, what are they offering? I said, over 6 figures. He says, listen to them, yeah. So I listened to them, and they said, oh, let's interview you, and eventually got the job, gave me the job. And I was calling the shots. I said, oh, I want over 100 and something K. I want to work fully remote. My business is still there, so I need HR to acknowledge that. So I put everything I wanted, and they were like, yeah, yes to everything. So it was good in that sense, but the environment changed after a while. So that was a huge surprise for me, that I could experience what I was experiencing on that job. It had to do with, microaggression and all of those other things which you don't want to get into.
I can hear you.
Exactly. So all those details. So it was huge that my husband was like, you're usually not like that. Why is it having that much impact? I'm still trying to work it out but I got to a point where I was dreading getting on the call. Yeah, and in the morning, yeah. Because I'm a coach, I'm a career coach, and I'm always saying, if red flags to look out for is if you hate Mondays, or Sunday night, you're already feeling the churn in your tummy, like, I'm going to face these people again. That's the time to get out. I was beginning to feel that way. I managed it for a few months, but I was like, this is surprising. Me of all people, how can this be happening? But I navigated. I'm a woman of faith, prayed about it, and I got to a point where I was like, you know what, you don't need to be here. The money is brilliant, like I said, over 150K. But I had to say, you know what, money isn't everything. Yeah. So I'll say in the most recent example, that was one huge surprise, that one, I could experience burnout. And then two, that I could say, shut the doors, that money, I'm off. And I resigned. So I think that's the one that is so it's like,
wow.
woman, what have you done? what have you done? You know, so the what do you call it? The cushion of that monthly 6K and a half every month is no more there.
Yeah.
But I was like, God, you're not gonna leave me.
Yeah, he's a provider.
It will. So that's the biggest word for me right now that I can think of off the top of my head is a huge surprise. But yeah.
I think we'll that would be a topic for another day about those signs of microaggression and everything. That would be a topic for another day. But I can imagine
It was huge. It was huge. I don't know if I've even gotten over
thinking
about it. I'm
Next
like, oh God. Who would have told me that I would? But yeah, it happened, and I just said,
as long as you're alive, isn't it? That's you're alive to
There will always be
and well to
new
look
doors.
after your kids
Yeah.
and your family.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
There will always be new doors. Yeah, bell shot another one.
Exactly. As looking ahead, what are your hopes and goals for both your business and your family life?
Okay, that's a good one. So I trust in my son is improving, and he's getting better every day. And being a woman of faith, I still believe that he will talk one day. I believe that, things will get better. And family life, my kids are growing. I'm pleased. I'm thankful. My daughter is a uni next year. But yeah, so it's I think it's all looking good in terms of business. I'm growing my business. I'm scaling now. I hired some new additional staff. We are also expanding. We're expanding into Africa. Yeah. We were just in Lagos last month. We did a tech career fair, which was amazing. It was in the news, and so I think the next thing is just to grow the business and diversify, and also to be able to make more impact as well. So I also run a community interest company, really around helping people to develop digital and IT skills, even from the basic level. Especially, I have a program coming up for months, returning to work. So my story, like I just shared now, is something that I know a lot of people can relate, to or with. And I want to be able to say, right, because I think what is fundamental is that information, being aware that this is possible. Yeah, because even coming from Africa then, when we first came, the people we surrounded ourselves, we were doing certain type of jobs. Is it that you're doing the factory? Say, everyone who comes in, you have got to clean, factory care and all of that. But you see, that was the information that we had access to because of the place where we were. Until we now started expanding our circle and going out and talking. So for me, I think what really changes everything is information, where you are. And so with the community interest company, it's about raising awareness, providing information, educating women, first of all, to say, you have a child, even if he's a special needs like mine, does not mean your life ends. Your career can still thrive. And so we're going to have different projects, different events, just to inspire, motivate, and challenge women. That's my passion.
Yeah.
I just want to say I did it, so you can.
So can you.
So I'm looking forward to having different initiatives and programs like that to support women and people, like myself. So I'm excited about those programs. We have some funding applications which we are crossing our fingers to get. But that's the future of for my business to grow and expand, and then also to do more impactful projects. Yeah, see.
That sounds very impactful. And like we said, we're trying to make an impact on moms.
Yes.
Wherever you're living in the UK, you can reach out to us. Yeah. We can signpost. We can, give this information.
Yeah.
If required. And so how long is this project going to be, or is it
so the pilot is what we're saying is going to run for like 2 years. So the community interest one, hopefully we get, if we don't get the funding, I don't want to jinx it, but we will look at other ways, right? So at the initial 2 years, so that we can have different people accessing it, and then probably we'll look at scaling, further. We want it to be sustainable. We want it to be something that is permanently there for people to access. So, but the first, we will run it for 2 years and see what we learn from it and what we can do to improve on it, and also to even expand it with, outside of the initial, local council or whatnot, local area. So we can go eventually become national, and just have it across the UK. But we'll start from Coventry, Warwick area, and then we grow from there. So that's the plan. That's what we hope for.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's been really lovely. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your story. So I hope we've empowered a mom, or we've given some information to a mother out there who's going through the same situation. Reach out and don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Okay, so how long are these courses?
Yeah,
that you offer.
So I have a 6 months program, and with that, we take you through an initial 8 weeks of learning the theoretical part. And then we help you to gain the experience within my company. So you will actually be working on projects. And the reason is because that's how I was able to get into tech. So I built the program that way. And therefore, when you start applying for jobs, you would now not need to have to deal with, you don't have a UK-based experience, because we give you that. Yeah, and that you put that on your CV. And we give you the reference when the job. So I just did some references for people who finished recently and got jobs. So they would send a reference request to us, and we give a reference to say, this person worked. So that's why it's that long. We have some people who just joined from the NHS, and they want to be with us for a year because they want more experience. Some ladies are just joined. And so we are very, the way that we are focused really on how to get you job market ready. So it's not doing all these certifications, that many.
And then you end up without a
job. Yeah, but we are, how do we help you to know how to do the job? So that by the time you're done with this program, you're ready to hit the market. And when they give you a job, you know what to do from day one. You're not like, the textbook said no, but because we have given you the opportunity to work on a project, a real live project, so you know how to navigate it. When you get a job tomorrow, you know the first thing to do at the initiation stage of the project and stuff like that. So the duration, to answer your question, our courses are 6 months. We do business analysis, project management, data privacy. We're going to start cybersecurity and information governance from next year. And again, it's still that same structure, because we believe that it's not giving all the theory. That won't give you the job. It's the hands-on experience.
Yeah, because everyone is asking for experience.
And that's kind of why we do that. So I think it's just making people aware that there is more. A lot of people that have been in care come to us, about in jobs, and they're like, I don't want to do care. Someone is in my DM now. Say she wants to start with the next cohort. She's tired of care. And she has a friend who came through us who is now interviewing for project management jobs. And that one said, you better come on to this program. And we're getting, so we want to put the word out there to say, you come from Africa. My passion is that we have something that as you come in as an immigrant, you have access to information banks that tells you this is how, you can go about developing the skills to integrate into the UK system rather than having to go doing all these things.
Yeah.
That's my vision.
Yeah.
And one day, death.
Wow. So you're saving people time.
Yes.
And energy to, all the years that we took doing the things that we didn't want to do. So you're saving that time.
So that, yes.
Just giving them a shortcut to
a shorter course. And then they can leverage the skills they picked up from Africa, because a skill is a skill.
It is.
Regardless of where he's coming from. So, we have bankers, from Nigeria who have 10, 12 years. And I'm like, what are you doing in care? So come on, upskill, get yourself up, and PwC. I have a guy who was like that 2 years ago, came in and has said, you have 10 years banking, come and do this project management program, and let's help you repurpose your CV, because that's another thing. It's supposed getting that CV done properly.
Yeah.
That you are still able to say, hey, I did this thing in Nigeria, but I know the skill. I know how to do it. And then if you give me the job, I will be able to do it. So it's all of those things that we coach people, on, and people are getting jobs. People are having their lives changed.
Good.
Just from doing that. So
it's not only people from Africa. Let's be clear. Whichever country you're from, this is applicable. And you're living in the UK.
yes,
This is still applicable.
the person I'm actually interviewing today is she's Eastern European.
Yeah.
She came on the course, so they've just finished the first phase, and she's so excited about how it has been. So she's like, I'm 100%. I want to give my testimony, so I'm going to interview her on LinkedIn. So she's not African. She lives here. She's white, Eastern European. So it cuts across really. Yeah.
There you go, mums. I think that should do. Until next time. Bye.
See ya.